Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Dark Phoenix. The X-Men franchise is back with the last of the Fox productions. Well, I guess technically we still have New Mutants. Yeah, sure. But Dark Phoenix chronicles the story of the Dark Phoenix storyline from the comic books. Or at least, kind of. Taking another stab at one of the most iconic, legendary, amazing storylines in comic book history, we see Jean Grey absorb the Phoenix Force and unleash a power greater than she knows how to deal with. In turn, Professor Xavier, Magneto, and the cast of our favorite mutants all have to find a way to deal with this seemingly insurmountable power coming from a dear friend. So I was certainly nervous about Dark Phoenix. It's impossible not to be nervous when a film goes through like delay after delay and just keeps getting pushed on back. But you know how we are with transparency here. I am, in fact, an X-Men fanboy. X-Men are my favorite comic book property, period. I've enjoyed most of the films, if I'm being honest, and I seem to be kind of an apologist for the films. So just so you know what you're getting yourself into with this review, that's my personal landscape heading into watching Dark Phoenix. But I didn't think the trailers were all that bad. I definitely had problems, but they actually showed more promise than I imagined. And I thought this movie was fine. I thought this was a solid entry for the X-Men film franchise. What can I say? So, let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, I need to start with the acting, because I actually think that was the strongest aspect of the film, period. Sophie Turner was so good in this movie. I have never seen her act this well, either through Game of Thrones or anywhere else. I really think that she nailed this performance, and it was a very subtle performance in that we got to see a lot in just her face as she's struggling between the Dark Phoenix Force as well as her innate goodness as Jean Grey, and I thought it was a really, really good performance from her. Michael Fassbender was stunning, and I'm not just talking about his good looks. He has been amazing through his entire tenure as Eric, aka Magneto, and this film just added another notch to that belt. He was so good in this movie and just sold everything. James McAvoy has been amazing as Charles, aka Professor Xavier, and he was amazing here yet again. And all of our supporting cast, I thought, did a very good job as well. Jessica Chastain is given a very stilted role, and I actually thought she did well within the role she was given. But really, the performances all were very, very strong, and they elevated the material that was given to them. And this film was certainly more faithful to the Dark Phoenix storyline than The Last Stand, which is weird because it's coming from Simon Kinberg, and, you know, he was responsible mostly for The Last Stand coming out as it did. But I do think they kind of mashed them. They mashed The Last Stand mythology with the actual mythology and the actual storyline from the comics, and done still the best in the 1990s animated television show, and they put them together. And I thought it worked decently well overall. It led to some weirdness with characters and where they were going or what they were even doing here, but as a story arc, I thought it worked for the film that was being made. Plus, we got a certain cameo from one of my personal fave mutants that I was so happy to see. And I guess, I don't know if I missed this in the marketing or what, but I did not know she was going to be in this film. And her very small, low cameo, just, I geeked out. I loved it. And there are a lot of really cool, like, nerd geek moments in this film. So many of our characters get, like, at least that moment to just shine. And I thought that was great. In particular, Magneto, Jean Grey, they really get moments to just kill it on the screen. And that big train sequence was awesome. I thought it was really, really good. And the adult opening, after the title, not before, but after the title, I think it is really, really a great start to the film. One, we have that Hans Zimmer score, which I found amazingly beautiful. I think the score was just fantastic, actually. And it's really elevating the intensity and the hype and the thrills of this space mission that the X Men are going on. The space mission was done very well. The end battle overall was done really well. And I think the emotions paid off mostly due to the groundwork that had been done with Eric, Raven, Charles, Jean, all of these characters that we've grown to really love over the past several films. Killed it here. And I think a lot of the humor also worked really well. Evan Peters isn't in the film all that much, but always gets it. Cody McPhee also was fantastic in this movie as Nightcrawler. He was great. And also gets an amazing superhero moment to shine. Plus, I absolutely love the end. The very end was a wonderful conclusion for Fox's X-Men series. What didn't work so well when it comes to Dark Phoenix? Unfortunately, there is a lot that also didn't work so well. I talked about character moments, and I think that we really sacrificed character moments because the script had to move so fast. And that's just a problem that I don't think these creators really understand about the Phoenix storyline, that saga. We need 2 films. It cannot be really introduced and completed to its full potential in one single film. It cannot happen, and we always end up with a less than satisfactory result because of it. It's too much. It's too complicated of a story that requires a big emotional journey with the character of Jean Grey that then creates emotional journeys all around her. And I don't know, it just didn't work. So we don't get the full story here because they have to rush through it to tell it in under 2 hours. And then, as I said earlier, we get introduced to a lot of stuff that's just kind of there. Jessica Chastain's whole through line is kind of just like, what are we doing? It ultimately ends up being somewhat necessary, but also like, what? Some of the stuff with Jean Grey's past is also like, what? And I'm glad they addressed Jean not just having the Phoenix Force within her all this time, but again, with that whole Charles Xavier blocking memories from Jean and really manipulating her mind as a child, it's a very weird path to go down. And then, actually, this leads into a whole different problem. Apocalypse might as well not have happened. We saw, apparently she had the Phoenix Force within her at the end of Apocalypse. That wasn't the case at all, and they make it very clear right to begin. I mean, everything from those new cool costumes thrown in the trash, and instead we get these hideous costumes at the beginning of this film that you're just like, ugh, burn it, please. But really, everything planted in Apocalypse was done, like Psylocke escaping. Why? We don't know. Who knows where she went to? She's not with Magneto anymore. Everybody just seeming like they're old friends. I mean, I guess 10 years has passed, but did we even see Magneto interact with Jean Grey for them to have any sort of connection that we're supposed to believe? It's supposed to be a really strong relationship to add some emotional stake to the film. We don't see it. We don't get those moments. We don't get that character development. We don't get relationship development. All of our characters are seemingly in virtually the exact same place they were in Apocalypse, so nothing much has happened with character growth other than mutants being accepted into the world at this point in time, but each person seems to be pretty stagnant. And while we get nice small character moments throughout the film that I really appreciated, we don't get much in terms of growth or development for anyone, which is a disappointment. Then I want to swing on over to my girl Storm because they didn't know her powers. I'm just going to say this right now. They literally have her create ice cubes. Kind of like what they had Bobby do when he made Logan's beer really cold. But they make her have like ice cubes come into a cup at one point. And I'm like, what is this? She can't just create ice cubes. But it was very clear to me that they don't understand where her powers come from, how her powers work, that they're not completely internal like this. And it bothered me. Plus, she was so sidelined and back to like ultra weak side character Storm, which always bothers me. I mean, it's been 10 years. Homegirl should have a much better grasp on her powers by now, but whatever. And the lightning, I thought looked terrible. I'm just gonna say it. Her lightning looked horrible. And the effects overall were not great. I think the cinematography itself was actually strong, and there were some beautiful shots. The color grading and the lighting was all beautiful, but the effects themselves had their moments of like, oh, that looks great, to, oh my. And there's definitely pacing issues. The middle of the film really feels like it drags. We start big action, we end big action, and then that whole middle portion between those set pieces, it feels repetitive. Again, we're not quite sure what everyone is doing here, what these things are, why we have to pay attention to them, what's going on. So it's hard to get invested in the middle of the film, and then we just have to kind of keep reliving it over and over. So overall, I think Dark Phoenix is fine. It is a solid end to the Fox era of X-Men films. The end in particular really got me. That entire third act I thought was really exciting, a whole lot of fun for X-Men fans, and as I said, it does a way better job of telling the Dark Phoenix storyline in comparison to the other film adaptation we have in The Last Stand. It's already got a leg up there. It's certainly not great. It has a lot of flaws and can be a bit dull. But if you're invested in the X-Men series, I say give this a matinee. I don't think it's good enough for a full price ticket, certainly. But I think it definitely warrants being seen on the big screen. Complete out the journey in theaters. Otherwise, if you haven't been interested or if you haven't enjoyed Fox's run with the X-Men series, honestly, you could skip this. This is not going to convince you. You have no emotional stake. Couldn't care less, and honestly, this is just gonna further your already negative opinion on the series. So, that is my review of Dark Phoenix. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Dark Phoenix? And what is your favorite X-Men film to date? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!